We're going to take our first call, Caleb from Illinois, looking for good arguments against transmedicalism. Hello, Caleb. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are both of you?
Doing all right.
We're making it.
As best as we can, right?
That's right.
Yeah, what's your question?
So yeah.
So I guess this is kind of a broad topic, but so I have a friend who's basically gone full down the whole transmedical rabbit hole, who believes that, like, medical transition is the only kind of transition. You're not truly trans unless you have the medical transition, so you're just faking it. The whole kind of nine. And I kind of don't really know how to argue against that, because this person has also kind of made it their identity. I called in, I think, a couple of weeks ago now, and this is the same person who considers themselves to be transsexual and not transgender. I don't know if Dr. Ben would remember that call, but I believe he was on that one.
Yeah, I do remember that call.
Okay. So yeah. I guess because it is part of their identity, it's something that I feel kind of uncomfortable arguing against. But it's also a moral position for me, because I really don't agree with what they believe. So I guess I don't really know how to argue against it without invalidating them at the same time. So I was just wondering if you guys... Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, a lot of people will adopt these kinds of positions from places of insecurity. Like, there might be a level of imposter syndrome that they're having, or some level that, like, they don't feel great about, themselves in their situation. And unfortunately, some people take that out on others and will say, you are invalid because I feel insecure about this thing. But it's like any other medical condition that someone might have. Like, if you're diabetic, just because you're not taking insulin, or even if you're not diagnosed with diabetes, if you have diabetes, you still have diabetes. Like, it's the same thing. If you're trans, you don't have to have medication to be trans. Like, you are trans, and then you can proceed with medical management if you want to. But it's just a lot of the logic of this, like, transmedical position. You could try taking it down the logical route and say, like, are these things that you're saying about other people things that, like, do you think that this broadly applies to, like, anybody who hasn't gone through medical transition? You can try going down the arguments of like other medical conditions, like I mentioned. You also might need to play a bit more to the emotional side and, like, get them to, like, humanize other trans people. Like, ask that person, if you didn't have access to your medical transition, would you still be valid? And maybe you'll get a better idea of how they view themselves. Because if they say, if they say from their own perspective that they wouldn't be fully trans if they didn't go through that, it's like maybe their sense of self-worth isn't super great right now. But
yeah, there's a lot of conversations around, like, the transmedicalist argument, especially as a person who is transmedicalist as well as trans. It's really difficult because people get entrenched in their own ideas of what something means. I remember when I first came out as trans, and I have gender dysphoria that has pushed me to take all of the standardized idea of medical transition, and it's really interesting because I remember early in my transition I was like, oh, if a non-binary person doesn't seek the medical transition, is a non-binary person part of the trans community? And it became like a question, right? Because I was still understanding myself in the trans community. And then after I realized, I'm like, well, what standard am I making? It's just not being cis, right? And it's the idea that, like, you are like forced to be cis unless you take some type of medical route is a very poor way of looking at the community at large, because the idea of like, oh, I'm transsexual and not transgender is something that is said quite often, and it creates these strange barriers to say I am this, so therefore other people aren't. Now, there when you're thinking about good arguments, you also have to think about where that person stands. So, for example, there's a lot of transmedicalist people that are trans, such as like Blair White, and who will say you have to do this because assimilation is the goal, right? and
Right.
and there's a lot of trans medicalists out there that say as long as you are attempting to assimilate into cis society and completely fit into the box in a way that doesn't disrupt the order of the way that polite society is supposed to act, then therefore that is the only way it is to be valid as trans. And it goes down the road of pick me behavior, which is like, I am the good one. Don't take my rights away. Don't discriminate against me. So therefore, I'm one of the good ones. And there is some type of conversation in the background happening with a lot of folks of like, I'm not one of those trans. I'm one of the classical trans people that is like, I do these things for this reason. And really, if you start looking down that road and you start figuring out, oh, is this person believe that, yes or no? And if they say, oh no, all trans people deserves rights and things like that, I just don't think that they're actually trans unless they do this. And then how do you cut how are you trying to say who gets human rights or not based in a society where one trans is valid and one other trans is not valid? And so that's kind of how I would attack it. But again, I'm like the social the social political girl, and so for me, I'm always going to try to go down to like human rights and say, okay, like, does your belief set affect somebody's ability to get a house? Right? Does your belief set allow the
Mm.
person to still join the military? Does your belief set, like, there's like ways that things get sliced. So if they start saying, well, yeah, if you're not really trans, then yeah, you don't deserve this healthcare, or no, you're not really trans, so therefore I don't need to use your pronouns, or now you're kind of getting
Mm.
more to the root of where they're coming from, and I think that will help you develop a better argument.
Yeah,
Okay.
and something
No, that
else like
makes.
something else you could try to ask too is trying to tease out like where is the flipping point for someone getting to qualify as trans? Like if you look at diagnostic criteria, like let's say if someone meets all those diagnostic criteria but does not go through with medical transition, how would this person view them? Would they still view them as trans because they meet the criteria, or would they say no because they didn't go through with the healthcare? Because that then kind of tells you like is it the choice of going through with healthcare, um, or is it just blanket like meeting criteria? Because that'll kind of lock in like is their argument even consistent? Like are they
Yeah.
using this standard across the board, or does this just apply to like set circumstances? Like are they moving the goalpost?
Mm. No, that's a good point, because one argument that I had been thinking of bringing up was that, like, well, what happens if you have someone who is trans? They meet all of the kind of tests that you could take to confirm that. They've been through the therapist, they've been talking to a doctor, but they just can't afford the transition. It's not something that they can pay for. Like, would they still count as trans to your standard? I guess, which is kind of what you're getting at. So maybe I just need to rework that a little bit more.
Yeah, how did the person respond to that?
Well, they had basically said that they should do whatever they can to transition, and even if it meant taking black market drugs and surgeries, which felt like a pretty extreme kind of position to me. But I guess it kind of fits in with
So
their worldview.
yeah, so there's so many issues here too, because there's also plenty of medical reasons why someone could not undergo that kind of transition. So it's like I would ask the person too, like if somebody has, endocrine cancer and they cannot take exogenous hormones, do they get to be trans? Because it sounds like this person would exclude them as well. Uh, and
Mm,
so it just sounds like this person wants to gatekeep something that really can't be gatekept. And so I guess the question is, what is the reason behind that? Like what's kind of fueling this discriminatory viewpoint that they have? Um,
mm,
that might be worth
Yeah.
exploring.
Yeah, and something as well, Caleb, is essentially right now we have a problem in our just overall politique of the trans community, and it's been really frustrating, and I'm going to bring up because I've been doing a lot of high level thought and communications with other trans community leaders and across the country politically and socially in the community. And there is a pervasive straw man that is being built on the trans community, and it is a big straw man of the fact that the trans community is this extreme left like caricature of what everybody is fighting for. So for example, they take the most extreme person and they like find a TikTok or some Twitter poster somewhere and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is the pronoun police," or this is
mm,
the people that are ostracizing because they don't believe 100% of what I say, and they're trying to push them those that straw man as far away from themselves as possible, so therefore they can say, "Look, I'm not that straw man, I'm the reasonable one." And what is happening is people are getting more entrenched in their view set because there are really big figures in our political conversation, especially in Democratic leadership across the country right now, that are essentially saying to all of these other leaders that we're not the trans people that want to, you know, oh my gosh, it's so awful. We're not the trans people that's forcing everybody to put pronouns in their bios. We're not the trans people that are going door to door calling everybody a bigot if they don't say the right words. Right? Like this is
mm,
becoming a really, really bad problem. And
Mhm.
mhm,
because of the fact that that straw man has been built of our community, there are other people who are hyper vigilantly trying to be not that and doing everything and saying everything and doing everything that they can to not be part of that caricature of the trans community, when most trans people are just trying to play sports with their friends or get transitional health care or buy a house without discrimination or to basically
mm.
go and live in society and go to the bathroom without getting assaulted. That's what the
Mhm.
trans community is fighting for, not this caricature that people think that we're fighting for.
Right. No, I totally understand what you're saying. And I think it's absolutely insane of the Democrats to have kind of done a 180 on the trans community from full open support to, well, hem and haw, we're not going to be vocal about our support as much. We're going to hedge our bets, and it's just disgusting.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I totally see where you're coming from. And are you, I guess my question is like, what what is there to kind of combat that then? Because if this is a case where this person is just, going extreme because it's a reaction to what's kind of happening around them, I guess I just don't see a way for, I guess, inclusivity to kind of win out in that case.
This is what I would say, and I would say this to the Democratic leaders in the same vein. Tell me which person that is in leadership that has political power saying and doing the things that you're saying they're doing. Right, it's the same thing with the whole litter box argument, right? It's like, "Oh, they're putting litter box in schools." Okay, cool. Tell me the political leader that's doing that, and I'll tell them that they're dumb and they shouldn't do that. Well, I mean, it's not political leaders. And why am I having this conversation with you if no one in the political, space that has power to actually change societal norms is not in this conversation? So why are we having a litter box conversation right now? That's essentially what I do, is I erase the ability for them to say the left is doing this thing when nobody in power is doing the thing. And it's
Right.
it's a really good strategy that there's a lot of people who are nefarious trying to paint that narrative as that is the cultural belief that the left is pushing. And yet we have the most extreme views like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, and all of these people who do have political power that are literally saying the most ridiculous, bonkers things, and nobody's saying that they're the ones that are pushing these narratives. So therefore, we need to be more aggressive against their beliefs. And so that's what I try to say is like, when people start pushing these narratives, like, well, the people are getting arrested and fired because they're not getting misgendered. It's like, cool. Tell me the court case that happened in. Tell me the exact situation when somebody was misgendered and they lost their job for it. I will tell you 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be able to have any clue. It's always going to be some friend of a friend of a friend of a news article that they read. Right. And that is what it's going to be. And so we have to be honest with people. And when they make these objections, we have to make them prove it, because we are just letting people just get on with their lives saying, oh, yes, don't you know that the pronoun police will excommunicate you and cancel you if you say somebody's name wrong by accident? It's like, where and who? Tell me, give me the receipts. And they're like, oh, well, and it's like, exactly, it's a narrative. You're speaking to a narrative and not to reality.
Yeah, or they'll blow up a small like interpersonal issue between two random citizens, and it's like to Josie's point, like those aren't the political leaders; those aren't people with any power at all. Like that's two people having a drama fight on Facebook. Like that's not significant. No one's going to care about that in the next 10 minutes. But yeah, people blow that up and act like that's happening everywhere and that's law. Like, no, that's just your uncle like getting drunk and throwing insults at somebody. Like,
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, that happened in a backyard barbecue, not the Senate floor,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
man.
Well, Caleb.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what you're speaking of just reminds me of the whole, because my wife is Jewish. It just reminds me of the whole like Jewish space laser thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking about for however many months ago, years ago that was. And I remember a lot of people coming out of the woodwork to say, oh, it's not that anti-Semitic. They're Jewish space lasers, but it could be, the bad Jews or whatever. It's like, and then everyone just kind of moved on.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same tactics as what people use to make racist statements. Like all this rhetoric is the like it's from the same place. It's the same stuff, just repackaged.
Yeah. Well, Caleb, thank you for the call. I really appreciate it. It's a good conversation.
No, thank you so much. And I hope your campaign goes really well, Josie. I donated to you, and I hope you get a lot of them.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That means the world to me. Thank you. And you'll get a letter from me with me thanking you as well. All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, great. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
And like a subscriber, Jimmy will have to go on a polyamorous dating show to win some prize money.
Wait, I want to do that. So also hit like and subscribe, and then go to patreon.com/calltheline. I was trying to make you laugh and ruin the take. That's why that silly face earlier. If I was on a polyamorous dating show, I would just choose everybody. Except Frederick. Leave a comment.